Alright, so here we go. Round 16 for Mid-East Hare Scrambles Association at Airport in Hickory, North Carolina. This is the last one of the year. I end up third out of the start. Pretty good at the starts on this bike, especially after changing the battery. My battery, I guess, went dead or was dying, and my bike was chugging to start, but after swapping it, it seems to be taking off pretty good. This course was slick in the beginning. It was real nasty. Not deep mud really anywhere. Well, there were a couple places of deep mud, but nothing crazy, and it wasn't like all over the course. We've had way worse mud courses this year for Mid-East, and this one was mostly just a top layer, and by about the third lap it started really getting good and tacky. I did really bad this race. I think I ended up in 16th. I didn't finish. I only did two. I ended up ripping my valve stem out of my tube, and it flattened my rear wheel, and I didn't have a backup, so I was dead in the water. I tend to be kind of cursed, and I'm not sure exactly what's going on, but hopefully by next season I can get everything squared away and quit having all these goofy mechanical problems, and it'll save me from not finishing races. This is lap 2, coming through scoring, and then we hit the trail. It's pretty reasonable Mid-East trail, it's four-wheeler wide, and you got okay flow to it. This track has been run quite a few times, and so it's a little choppy, but not in a bad way. It adds a little bit of variability to the course. Hotlines and alternates were really important here. Miss a lot of these outside edge, like downside of a hill kind of mud pits, and then also for passing and making moves, it was really good to be able to pre-see a hotline. Like I said, there were a couple sections of deep mud, but they weren't really long. They were short inside a creek like this, and this one was two sides of the same creek, so you come up one side over the hill and then back up the other side. The exit of the hill was worse than the entrance. It was just rocky and really, really slick. This guy had a bad day. I'm not sure who that is, but I hope he was alright. He was moving around. This was a longer downhill. At the last airport race, we ran up this. And this is also where the big bottlenecks were, where I shot up through the woods. This direction made the course easier, and it was good because of how slick it was, but even with how much rain we had gotten, it wasn't that bad. It could have run the same direction. This lower section gets a little deteriorated. There's a little bit of standing water. Nothing crazy and nothing that wasn't avoidable. Someone in the afternoon race actually came in a little hot on that downhill, I think, and got launched into the creek on the left-hand side. Ended up with their bike fully submerged in the water. And I can't imagine. It was in the low 40s when we took off, so can't imagine that was a good time. This was the feature that everybody talked about the most. It's just a big flat slab rock, and it was super slick. I took that outside line every time, and the inside line was a more straight hit. I'm not sure why I didn't do that every time, but it worked for me, so I just continued to do it. This section was a little sloppy. You were coming up this hill and then had to hit this hill climb. And a lot of roots, a lot of rock, and it was deeper mud, so if you didn't have good push going up the hill and you weren't real confident about where you were going, you'd end up sideways, which I saw a couple guys ended up crooked, and it was easy to do it. You just had to be able to fight your bike back straight. So this being the end of the Mid-East season, I'm going to end up in third overall in Vet C, and not terrible finish for my first year racing a full season of a series. next year I'll be moving up. I'm going to go Vet B next year. And I don't know if I'm doing much Mid-East at all. I know I'm going to do a full series of the NEPG Enduro series. I'm going to try and do some of the Citra Enduros, and then I'll do Mid-East and North Carolina when they're convenient, or like when the fun races come up. I definitely will do Enola both times, Airport, Walnut Grove for Mid-East. Those are the best tracks they have, I feel like. North Carolina is not as well run in my opinion, but it's, at least if I'm running Vet B, I can run in the morning, and the courses are a little more technical, which is something I'm looking for. The Mid-East courses are fun, but they're a little wider than I want them to be. I'd like to be this fast in the tight stuff, and I've spent a lot of this year not riding tight stuff because I've been fighting Mid-East. I blew that corner both times I came through it. I don't know why I couldn't figure out how to negotiate that turn. I'm super excited though about next year running the National Enduro and the Citra. I'm not going to run full Citra, but I'll run a couple Citra races. The Enduros are my favorite type of racing. They are more about pushing yourself than they are trying to just battle with somebody in a class. And it being an all-day thing, and you get to see different parts of the East Coast, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. But it's not without its cost, you know. It's what to run 8 national races is going to cost me the same as it costs to run 16 Mid-East races, you know. So it's definitely an expensive thing, plus travel, and you know, having to get to some of these places where they're, you know, 12 and 15 hours away is going to be a struggle. But I'm down to do it. I really want to try and get as many of these national enduros in under my belt as I can. And that goes back to me talking about needing to get my whatever curse I've got going on out of the way, because I can't be going, you know, 12 hours to a race and having a flat tire and not be able to finish. That would really put a damper on my spirits for the drive to finish a series. All that being said, I had a lot of fun riding Mid-East this year. Organization has run really well. Everything starts on time. The scoring and any issues you have are handled very quickly and very, you know, professionally. And I feel like this is a good, you know, poster child for how a race organization should be run. And the only complaint I have about Mid-East is the tracks feel like they're very, very similar all the time, and it's mostly just because of how fast and how wide they are for bikes having the four-wheelers run. But it's just something you have to deal with if you're going to run Mid-East. Just be aware that the courses aren't as technical as North Carolina courses, but they tend to be faster. Plus, Mid-East runs no matter the weather. That was a big thing for North Carolina this year, was the number of rescheduled and canceled races due to weather conditions. I feel like if it's a dirt bike, you should be able to run it, you know, unless you're completely underwater or it's like some kind of harm to your body to actually ride in the conditions. Just send it. But let the riders decide whether they're going to be there or not, you know. Mid-East is a great organization. I'm really glad I ran it this year. You can see the whole course has this like film of mud over the top of it. And it was, I don't know if it was because the track is so beat in or if it was because of how much time we had between, there's me almost slamming into a tree, how much time we had between the last day of it raining to the race day, where it was just enough to let it absorb to get it, you know, slick during the beginnings of the race, and then it was really good and tacky at the end of the race. And I only got, like I said, only got to like halfway through the third lap before I had to pull it off, but it was still, by that time, by the beginning of the third lap, everything was getting really well rutted up and easy to negotiate, so it was becoming a better course. You see up here, I hit my brake to turn and ended up sliding the front wheel. It's just, you know, full front end slide. Hope you don't crash. There was a lot of that in the first lap. So this section was just this one weird little bog, and then on the first lap, this is what happened. You get 4 guys wide, and I ended up shooting way off over the bank and scaring one of the spectators. But you got to do what you got to do to maintain your momentum, because stopping in that bog is not going to help anybody get through it any faster or help progress the race any. That corner, super slick. It was like riding on ice. It was almost like paved clay and with just water on it. So you slide in until you hit the berm or the base of that tree, and then you can take off again. Then, like all mid-east sections, there's always a field. This one wasn't that bad. It wasn't that long, but it was also just really fast, and it was a lot of fun. It was a good break from being in the woods and fighting the mud to being able to come out into a section where it's pretty dry and well set up, but you still got traction, so you can just hammer and hold on. The other thing I've got to consider is whether or not I'm getting rid of the 350. I don't know. For racing and hare scrambling, it's been really, really good. I feel like I've gotten faster. It's a really great bike for it, and I feel like there's a lot of potential for me to be faster on it once I adapt a little more. But my heart, as weird as it sounds, is screaming for me to go back to a 300. I've been missing mine since it got stolen, and in the perfect world, I would have both of them. You know, I'd have a 350 for racing and a 300 to do trail riding and hard enduro stuff, but that's not in the cards right now, so I don't know what I'm going to do, if I'm going to end up getting rid of the 350 and go into another 300, or if I'm going to just keep the 350 and adapt to this as my riding style. And there's nothing to be said about the bike, you know, lacking anything. It's just my personal preference and riding style. Which one does it suit better? And it's been the last two races I've been really considering whether or not what I'm going to do. This is the same spot as the start, and it's still second lap, so you can see where it's starting to get some lines rutted in, and it's not as slick as it was the first lap, which was just like the rest of the course. The pine forest section that you had to run through was really nice. I kind of wish we'd have a whole course of just pine, but that's just, I like pine. I like running pine forest. That would be something that would be ideal if I could get it, but I don't know if it's going to ever happen. Overall, this course was a lot of fun. This was probably one of my favorite courses for Mid-East for this year, other than Enola, and Walnut Grove is one of my favorite ones too. And those are the races I'll be doing again if I come back to do Mid-East. It'll definitely be Airport, Walnut Grove, and both of the Enola races. And then I'll see you guys next season when we start doing all these nationals and then a couple of North Carolina races. It's been fun. See you guys later. Peace.